Well, I figured this was going to be settled by this point. And the other thing was, this was more just germane to me writing a bunch of notes on a single game and getting excited about this and getting passionate about this, of things I saw yesterday, things I want to see in the future, and then realizing nobody's watching. I mean, you're listening to Dan Dickerson and Andy Dirks, or Dickerson and Craig Monroe, or Dickerson and Bobby Scales, or whoever's going to be there. And it's great to listen to the guys. It's awesome.
Yep.
But I want to see the game. And I'm watching the games, but I know that not everybody is. And there's a huge percentage of people out there that just flat out will refuse to do it on principle. And for those stubborn people, I salute you. I can be stubborn at times as well. This one, I'm caving into it because I love baseball too much to let it go by. But it's just, it's maybe this is it, the end of the month, and I'm figuring this should have been done.
Well, here's the one thing about this.
They should have had a solution.
That I'd be very concerned if I were the Tigers. I'd be concerned. But I remember hearing and getting data that when the NHL went on strike, ESPN, and it was late in the year, ESPN was going to carry the playoffs. And the NHL goes on strike, and they had hired all these crews to work playoff hockey, but they had no playoffs. So they put them on college baseball and college softball, regionals, super regionals, World Series. They already did the World Series, but they started putting their crews on those games. And
they're
suddenly,
already paid for.
Yeah, they'd already paid for these crews, and suddenly they were getting decent ratings from college baseball and college softball. Decent ratings, what I mean by that is when compared to NHL ratings. And they're like, wait a sec. We don't pay any rights fees, or we pay minimal rights fees, and we're getting the same number of viewers than for the right fees we're paying for the NHL? Why are we paying for the NHL? And the NHL, next thing you know, they were parked on a network called Outdoor Life Network. ESPN never went back. College baseball and college softball, it's not unusual to see every postseason game. They're all available on some form of ESPN platform. And what really helped kickstart those games getting some national coverage was the NHL work stoppage. And what year was that? I don't even know what it was. Mid-90s, mid to late 90s. Yeah. And I mean, they didn't go back on ESPN until a few years ago. And now with the Tigers, if I were the Tigers, I don't know that I would want people getting used to not watching our games and finding other things to do with their time that they might find more fulfilling. And I'm not like, I mean, look, given our jobs, even without our jobs, I don't think I'd be likely to be giving up on Tiger baseball, but it's kind of the soundtrack to summer.
It's maddening to go through this and realize that they haven't come to a resolution yet, that they haven't found some sort of temporary solution. Not the Tigers, but Bally's parent company and Xfinity's parent company, which is Diamond Sports and Comcast, that they haven't figured something out, some kind of middle ground, a temporary solution, while you continue to work towards a permanent solution before hockey and basketball fire back up in the fall.
Yep. Because you're inviting people to fill their time with something else.
Yeah. Nobody's going to win.
No.
I mean, the other thing, whatever you fill your time with something else, that wins. But
yeah, I guess.
But this doesn't.
No, it is a awful. And you know, it's topical today for your epiphany. Like, I'm making all these notes and nobody cares, or nobody's watching. And me, I'm the one that caved yesterday. Yesterday I caved to watch a doubleheader and got the Bally's app. Now I've got it strategically. I've waited to where I think I can watch a bunch of games this week and weekend. And moving forward, I got 6 more days here of the free trial. I'm hoping to hear news that this whole thing gets resolved in the next 6 days, and I'm very optimistic. I mean, there's no buzz. There's no buzz that the sides are negotiating or this is close. I think back to the one guy who sent a text saying the Colorado Avalanche won a Stanley Cup in the dark. They had no TV deal for fans in Colorado.
Except for when they got to the playoffs.
They got to the playoffs, and they got the national broadcast.
The national broadcast.
But their Stanley Cup championship season, apparently, according to this listener that was listening in Denver, said, yeah, their whole season wasn't on the air. What?
Remember the midseason game against Vancouver? Nope.
I mean,
see it.
The right now, we've kind of settled into this you know, a current of ambivalence, an undercurrent of ambivalence. If they were good, people would be freaking the F out.
Yeah. I mean, think of how it was when this first broke, right? The Tigers were, 4 or 5 games above 500?
Yep.
At the end of April, they were looking really good. May has not been very good to the Tigers. They've been a below 500 team in the month of May. But to your point, if they had kept winning,
the freak out factor would be massive.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive.
And this is why I go back to, it kind of caught us all by surprise that I wish that one of the parties would have let people know a month out, hey, listen, just an FYI, we're nowhere close to getting a deal done. You're gonna lose the ability to watch it on Xfinity here in the next 60 days or next 30 days unless something happens, because then public pressure would come down and probably force something to happen. Well, then it happened, and it was like, you know, who was it that left overnight? Was it the Indianapolis Colts leaving overnight or the Baltimore Colts leaving in the middle of the night and nobody saw?
Yep.
It's like that. Like next day, all of a sudden, hey, there's no Tigers on Bally's. What? It sucks.
It does.
It sucks. And, you know, we're trying to find, okay, how do we figure this out? What was it like before we had Bally's? And, well, before remember back in the day in the 80s, they were on Channel 4. Well, Channel 4 is an NBC affiliate, right? So your big affiliates aren't going to be carrying a local baseball team today because of all the commitments they have to network programming. The only solution I can see outside of Xfinity and Diamond Sports coming to an agreement is if somehow there's a way that like Channel 20, that they figure it out, because I think all their programming at night is syndicated.
Like they could park games.
Like could they park games on there? Because that's where they were parking some.
There have to be rights issues. I can't imagine that you'd have to have the rights to them, and whoever's holding the rights right now is at an impasse and doesn't want to give them up.
Well, I'm sure there's red tape that you got to get through.
This is the scary part, though, of sports and business, right? Because the business is not only not giving, it's not ruining the sport, it's making the sport inaccessible.
Right. This would never have happened in football.
No.
Basketball is kind of a juggernaut, but this will affect basketball because of how many teams locally that they're broadcast on Bally's.
Well, and hockey.
Well, and hockey too, right? But I'm just saying, talking about these. The NFL is like the epitome of how to run a business, right?
Seems to be
in sports, because they just print money. The NBA feels like it's another business where they're just printing money because of their TV deals. But when the season comes through again in the fall, if this isn't resolved, it is going to affect the NBA. You know, and I wonder, is Silver going to say, well, that's not good enough, we can't have that?